Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to market a church event, and I'm going to share with you a church that literally had an event and went from 350 to 800 in only 4 weeks. Coming up. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. My name's Chris Abbott, and if we're meeting for the first time, I've helped thousands of churches attract thousands of new visitors using the framework that I'm going to share with you in this video. So let's dive in. All right, so a couple of years ago, a friend of mine called me up and said, okay, Chris, here's the deal, man. I'm moving from an elementary school to a high school. All right, and any of you guys that have ever known, that have ever moved buildings as a church plant, typically you lose about half your people when you do that. All right, so I said, okay, well, if you're moving, right, it's only 10 minutes down the road, but if you're going from an elementary school to a high school, I would probably do this, 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 and this. All right, he said, okay, thanks so much, man. Hangs up. All right, calls me back the next day, says, bro, I don't know how to do any of that stuff. Man, can you just do it for me? We put together a plan and figured out this is exactly what we're gonna do over the next 60 days to get people to come to the new grand opening in the new building and then to get them to come back again, right? Because the part that a lot of times we forget about as church leaders is once we get people to show up, how do we get them to come back again, right? So if you're preparing for Easter or a back to school event or Christmas Eve or Mother's Day or even a brand new sermon series kickoff, one of the most important things is to think about what you're gonna do to get people back the next weekend, right? And the weekend after that and get them coming back, not just get them to the event. Okay, so a lot of you might be tempted to use direct mail, but I'm telling you, it's not direct mail, it's direct fail. If you guys have been watching this channel for more than 5 minutes, then I really don't like direct mail. And the reason is it's just outdated and it's ineffective, right? In the last 10 years, literally the amount of direct mail that people get in the US has doubled in the last 10 years. In fact, it's become such an epidemic that apartment complexes have started putting out giant, huge trash bins just for people to throw away their direct mail in, right? Because they were sick of people going into the mailroom and, pulling out all their direct mail and be like, this sucks, and then they just throw it on the floor, right? So you're going out there and you're spending thousands of dollars and sometimes tens of thousands of dollars on a direct mail piece, and people are throwing it on the floor, right? At best, they're not throwing it in one of the giant trash cans that apartment complexes are putting out, right? People just don't read direct mail anymore because you're just adding to the noise. Let's dive into a 7-part framework on how to attract new people and how to market your church event. All right, so the first thing that we did was we created a target, right? My pastor said, hey, I want 1,000 men in the room. Now, that was a much larger target than I was planning if I'd picked the target, right? But challenge accepted. So we need to have 1,000 men in the room. Okay, the second thing we decided to do is I thought, what about all of the churches around the country that can't put on an event like this? What if they could live stream this event and they could actually hold an event in their church, right? So we're actually bringing in a Navy SEAL to come talk to all the men of our church, right? So what we decided to do was I convinced my pastor to open up the event so that I could sign up churches to live stream the event. Just because a church is a smaller church or maybe they're in a different part of the country, how cool would it be for them to be able to actually live stream the Navy SEAL men's event that we were putting on at their church and be able to have guys from their church come out, fire up the grill, have some burgers, eat some brats, and listen to a Navy SEAL talk about how to live for Jesus. I don't know about you, but that sounds like a pretty good time. So the goal was 1,000 men at the event in the room and 100 churches live streaming the event. All right, number 2, define a win. So now that you know what your goal is and what you're trying to do, now you need to define a win. So when you start to market your event, what action do you want people to take? So this might be plan a visit. This might be that you're trying to get them to reserve a seat or buy a ticket, right? Whatever it is. If you have an event, doesn't matter if it's a free ticket or if it's a paid ticket, it's good to have people actually download tickets or reserve a ticket, right? Because there's a little bit of a micro commitment there. And again, that way you actually know and you can kind of expect how many people. If a ton of people are going to your website to learn more about this and you have absolutely no idea how many of them are going to actually show up to the event, it gets a little bit tough. But if you have a way for people to plan a visit or reserve a ticket, now at least you have an idea of how many people are coming and exactly how to host everybody when they get there. All right, next up, you need to build a landing page, right? So a couple of simple rules for your landing page. You want to build this on your website. You don't want this to be your homepage, okay? Typically, your church homepage is going to have a lot of clutter on it. It's got a lot of different things. Like it might have stuff about your small groups or about your upcoming worship set list or some of the announcements that are going on and some stuff about you as the pastor, right? So you never want to send people to your homepage because there's just too much going on and you're saying too many things at once on the homepage. Instead, you want to create a dedicated landing page on your website that just says one thing. The only information on that landing page is simply going to be information about your event and the call to action that you want people to take. The most important thing to remember on your landing page is that if you say more than one thing, you say nothing at all. You want to make sure that you're only sharing information relevant to your event, and that's it. Don't talk about your small groups, don't talk about your other ministries or anything else you're doing in the church, just talk about your event. So I did this with the Navy SEAL men's event. I literally created a landing page on the website. It was like ourchurch.com/Navy SEAL, and it had all the information on the event. And then it had a big red button where people could actually reserve a seat so we knew how many people were coming. All right, number 4, you want to run a Facebook ad, and I personally recommend running this on Facebook and Instagram, right? So for those of you guys who don't know, Facebook owns Instagram, and there's another billion people on Instagram, right? And you're going to have a lot of people, especially in that 18 to 34 demo, that are going to be on Instagram, and then basically everybody from 25 to 65 plus is on Facebook. That way you're going to make sure to reach everybody in your city and be able to get the word out about your event. The best type of Facebook ad to run if you are trying to market a church is going to be a traffic ad. So what you want to do is you want to set up an ad that's going to send people from your Facebook ad to your landing page, right? And then again, you're going to have a call to action on there like reserve a seat, buy a ticket, plan your visit, right? And so that way there's an actual call to action. So you're going to send as many people as you can from Facebook and Instagram to your landing page so they can take the next step and reserve a seat. Okay, so before I get to my last couple of points, make sure to subscribe to the channel and click the little bell so you get notifications. I've got a lot of new videos coming out and new content coming out that's going to help you grow your church and be able to use social media and technology to attract new visitors and reach a ton more people. All right, number 5, connect cards. You want to have a plan for how to collect the information of everybody that shows up to your event, right? Because you might have an incredible event, right, and have hundreds or even thousands of people that show up, but if you don't collect any of their information, then you have no way to contact them afterwards, and it's kind of like they never showed up, right? Either they make a decision to come back on their own or not, but there's no way to actually follow up with them. So you want to have a plan, and a simple connect card is a great way to do that, and you want to keep the information really, really simple, right? Name, email, phone number. That's it. Name, email, phone number. Don't ask them what their birthday is or what their kids' names are or their license plate or social security or any of that other stuff, right? Just 3 things, name, email, phone number on the connect card. Then you just have to give people a reason to actually turn it in, right? Because when was the last time you went somewhere and they asked you to fill out a connect card and you filled it out, right? We sit there as church leaders and pastors and we say, man, nobody fills out our connect cards, and then we get frustrated, but then we don't do the same thing when we go to conferences, right? So what you have to do is you have to give them a reason to do it, and the best way to do that is to give them some type of a reward. So one of the best ways to do this is just to reward people, right? So if you have food there, you can just say, hey, we got a bunch of free food in the back. Just fill out that connect card, turn that in the bucket, and then you can get some free food, right? Or maybe you have a free t-shirt or a free gift. That's exactly what we did at the Navy SEAL men's event. We had a bunch of burgers and brats in the back of the sanctuary. We just said, hey, fill out that free connect card, drop it in the bucket, and then you can grab some free food. All right, number 6, invite them to take a next step. Right? So now you've got all these people in the room, again, for a sermon series, or maybe it's a marriage conference or a men's event or a women's event. You've got everybody in the room. You need to have a clear next step, and you need to invite every single person in the room to take that next step. So maybe it's joining a small group. Maybe it's taking a marriage challenge. Maybe it's joining a volunteer team or something like that, right? But the bottom line is you need to figure out what's the one next step that you're trying to get people to take that are in the room, and then you need to invite people during your event to take that next step. And finally, number 7, follow up, follow up, follow up. Okay, so the reason we did the connect cards is now we were able to collect everybody's information. We have their name, email, and phone number, and now you just need to follow up with them, right? And I recommend a multi-channel approach to this. So make sure you're using email, text messages, and then maybe even a couple of personal phone calls. Right? And those can be super simple. It can be anything from, hey, John, what's up? This is Pastor Chris. Saw that you came out to the Navy SEAL men's event. I just wanted to follow up with you and just see, man, how can I pray for you? So you can follow up with people and ask how you can pray for them. You can invite them to take the next step like you invited to in the room. Like, hey, have you had a chance to join a men's group yet? Hey, did you sign up for the marriage challenge? Right? You're just kind of following up to see and inviting them to take the next step. Or you can invite them to come to church the following Sunday. Right? So you can ask them, hey, man, we're having church this Sunday at 9:30 and 11 o'clock. Can you make it? Right? And then have them say it. And if some people say, oh, yes, some people might say no. Some people might say, man, we've actually got a church. And that's okay. The goal isn't necessarily just to get them to Sunday morning. To get them is to say yes or no, right? Just to make a decision. But an invite from you as the pastor or one of your church leaders is going to go really, really far, right? There's nothing more powerful than a personal invite. Hey, if you like this video and you found it valuable and you want to learn more about how to use social media and technology to grow your church and attract more people, just go over to churchgrowthagency.com and check out the free training we have there.